Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
And I'm your host, Noel John Toohey.
And this is Talking Points. And to Noel, we're back again. We're not back alone. We got our man, Baish Benford, all the way from Cali, coming back to talk to us a little bit about this fucking crazy controversy that's going around about Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogan Experience and past comments that he made on that show. So, Noel, I'm going to throw it to you first, then we kick it to Baish. What's your thoughts about the controversy with Joe Rogan at the moment?
Oh, okay. I'm not going to try and go on too long a diatribe because we'll keep it open format. But first and foremost, I am absolutely
1864.
Wait a minute. This is why you guys had me on because I'm black. Is that what this is?
Yes.
That's literally all it was.
All right. As long as
it's Black History Month. We have to, you know.
I just think cancel culture, of course, is like it always existed. It's not like I'm anti-cancel culture. Cancel culture has been a great thing. It's now the sensitivity that comes with it. I'm by no means that cancel culture should apply to Joe Rogan. I also don't think that people should have been taking their medical advice from Joe Rogan. I also think that Joe Rogan should have been aware that the large audience that he had, he probably should have been saying some fucking, frankly, really stupid fucking shit.
Yeah,
but no, I honestly just think that I just wish people paid attention to the people they should be paying attention to. And when somebody gets to the size that Joe Rogan is, that's on us as a society, because we like talking heads as opposed to people who absolutely know what they're fucking talking about. And he's symptomatic of it. He's not responsible for it. So no, as opposed to him getting absolutely cancelled, I'm 100% against it. But I also think that he needs to stop being such a fucking idiot, and I needs to stop sugarcoating some absolute fucking assholes that he has on, like Stephen Molyneux, who is a white supremacist.
Yeah, but if Joe Rogan but he also had a dude on that converted over 200 white supremacists away from the KKK. Daryl Davis. But like, you have to look at if you have a talk show or if you have an open speaking format, that you have to have people from both sides. So you can't have a Daryl Davis on if you don't have someone from the other side, and then you let people formulate their opinions when all the evidence is weighed up. And that's what I like about Joe Rogan. He'll go, I think flat Earth's dumb or whatever, but he'll get a flat earther on. He'll allow them to say their piece, allow them to put their case forward. And I think, like, if you look at CNN and Fox and these other media formats, whatever, that they've gone to one side or the other. And that's why people are straight away, because you don't have an unbiased opinion. It's always left leaning on CNN. It's always right leaning on Fox, whereas Joe Rogan is both ways leaning. He can say what he wants, but like, you know, he does say, I'll get one person from this side of the argument, and he oftentimes gets a person from the other side of the argument, and allows the evidence to be weighed up by his viewership and by himself.
Jon Stewart said that, and he echoed kind of what you were saying in different words. You were saying that, you know, if you went on Carlson or something, well, first off, if you push back against him, like one guy did, who told him that he's also part of the problem that he's trying to pose, it never made it to air. Yeah. So it's not even live, you know? And also, I absolutely agree with you. I do, but I don't think sometimes you're looking at something that's so fucking profoundly stupid, you're thinking, right, and here comes the Rogan pushback, and he doesn't push back. That's just a criticism from me. That's not a criticism that anything should happen to his career one way or the other.
Yeah.
But no, I do. Joe Rogan at his best is actually really fucking good. But I guess I don't get to be the arbiter of what is his best or what isn't his best.
Yeah.
What about you, Baish?
I think the whole race thing that came up with Joe Rogan was just fodder for them to use for the whole anti-vax thing or the whole vaccine. Like Vinny said, when Rogan brings a white supremacist on, he also brings someone else on, or he also brings somebody who used to be white supremacist and they're not anymore, and he wants to know why they're not anymore, and that person gives their point of view. Like you guys said, you go to CNN and there's one point of view, and if somebody pushes back, then that person's crazy.
Yeah, to ostracize.
Rogan said the N-word a lot earlier. If you look at his stand-ups, like, he didn't say it with the hard R all the time, but sometimes he did. If he went to some of his stuff at the Comedy Club or the Laugh Factory or the Laugh House, he used the N-word. But you got to remember, he did it in front of, Rawling. He did it in front of Dave Chappelle. He did it in front of Eddie Murphy before. He did it in front of Chris Rock before. These are all guys who have come out and said, we support Joe because he's not a racist. I've met Joe Rogan twice in my life, twice at 2 UFC events. He's a cool-ass dude. People have said that Joe Rogan is such a nice fucking guy that they don't talk about shit that they want around him because he'll send it to you. The Traeger like smoke grill that's like $4,000 or $5,000. somebody was talking that was on his podcast once about how he would love to smoke meat, but that grill's too expensive. And when he gets enough money, maybe he'll think about getting it. When he got home the next day, the shit was sitting there waiting for him because that's the kind of person Joe is.
Yeah,
it feels like what they saved up that. Sorry, Vinny.
No, go ahead.
But it feels like they saved up that video. Then it feels like now is the moment to take down Rogan. And I also agree because I know he's a bad example to use because he walked himself right into an awful situation, and I don't have any sympathy for him. But Louis C.K. had a joke, and that was he goes, when he reads the N-word, he goes, oh, and he said the N-word. And then he said, you absolute coward. Like, just write the word, because then I think, and he used a hard N-word. He was like, because then I think the word, blah, blah, blah. And now I've taught it, but you didn't have the balls to say it. And he went on this whole diatribe, and he must have used the N-word about 6 times in it. But the joke was literally just about reading an article that writes N-word instead of using the N-word. And it was a joke. It was a joke, and it was offensive. And I know it can be absolutely an awful word to be thrown around. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm definitely not the person, the go-to person for this, but I do think that even bad things have context. And if somebody said a bad word when he's got 80,000 hours of fucking footage of him talking, because don't forget, he's been on Fear Factor, he's been on UFC, and he's got the world's biggest podcast. We have thousands, and he's a comedian, so we have thousands of hours of this guy talking. And yes, you could look at all these, but anything put together, man, put together.
It's a hatchet job.
It's a hatchet job.
Yeah. It's the same.
I'm not supporting him saying it. I'm just
but it's the same 3 brothers that went after Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. The same 3 dudes clipped up, and Portnoy like destroyed those fucking guys because Portnoy went back in some dude's old tweets and old stuff on his first couple of podcasts, saying the N-word, calling people Jews, calling people fags and stuff, and like the guy got quiet and actually clicked off of. He like left the Zoom meeting.
Is that the Midas Touch podcast? Is it?
Yeah. It's the same 3 dudes that went after the Barstool Sports guy, or the same 3 dudes that are talking shit about Joe Rogan and brought that clip out, or those clips out. But
do you mind? Sorry to talk over you. I was just wondering, but me and Vinny are a little bit in the dark ages because we're in Ireland. This Barstool Sports guy, like, what's his background? He was an NFL commentator.
No.
What?
So this dude got big just betting on himself, doing stuff, doing small little interviews, doing that. He would go around actually to every single pizza spot and give it ratings. So that's how he got huge. He was just going to pizza places like, hey, this is a good pizza, it's a bad pizza. I'd give it a 2 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5. And he bid it on the internet when the internet was not new, but doing that kind of stuff was new. So he got a following. Then he built up Barstool Sports to where they were talking about sports stuff, video games, podcasting, other stuff like that. So he got huge. David Portnoy, he got huge. So those dudes, when you're big, the only thing people want to see when you've succeeded is to tear you down. And that's what happened. Those dudes tried to find footage or audio, which you can find of anybody. Let's be honest.
Like, oh yeah, should do it. Like the chats that we had, like there's absolutely nothing that we can say here that the chats that we would have off, we tried to push each other's boundaries, and we tried to get oh my God, I can't believe he said that kind of laugh from each other.
Yeah.
So I always think anytime you think you're going to come after someone, you always kind of have to, in your head, go, well, if everything you said was laid bare, would this be the fucking opinion that you're taking? And don't get me wrong, I haven't gone on these platforms. So I don't know, like Joe Rogan I don't know if he's ever said, like he's never literally like stopped his car and honked at somebody and said, get out of the way, get off the fucking road, you fucking N-word. You're nothing but a black, because that's a different fucking thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a different thing.
Completely fucking different thing.
You gotta understand, people don't see that point.
No.
Do you think context matters, Baish? Like when you look at it, because he's like a lot of those the clip, because I've seen a lot of these episodes, and I'm sure so have you and Noel, that like a lot of these clips wasn't he quoting jokes, like he was quoting like Lenny Bruce jokes and stuff like that. Like, so like when they talk about context, because lately you see the Young Turks on Twitter, a clip came out with them using the N-word constantly and saying like fag and shit like this. So they were saying this over and over again and using derogatory terms for gay people and people of color. And like, so like when you see Joe Biden in a congressional hearing saying the N-word 5, 6, 7 times, when he's talking about is it a judge or something? Or no, he was talking about a governor or something, or a person of color.
This is back in the 80s or 90s.
Back in the 80s. So like
80.
when they say, when I say they, sorry, so the people that are after Joe Rogan, or the liberal media, whatever you want to call them, or the mainstream media that are after Joe Rogan, they say context does not matter. But now they're saying context does matter for their guy, because, but doesn't matter because Like, because the way I look at it is like when Joe Biden says that, there's no difference. He's telling a story about a guy and he's quoting someone. It's the exact same thing what Joe Rogan did for a lot of so. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes Joe Rogan used the N-word and it was unnecessary. Like the episode.
Oh, well, we're not here to say like God, go Joe Rogan for fucking doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Like the episode with Greg Fitzsimmons. That was kind of like it was unnecessary for him to kind of push Greg Fitzsimmons and saying it or whatever. But I think that like if you look at the context, if he's quoting a joke, do you do the original joke a disservice by saying N-word, or do you use the N-word and give it its context and say in its full way, like the way Joe Biden did in the congressional hearing, the same way Joe Rogan did when he was quoting like a Lenny Bruce joke or something, because of the era it came from, it was less faux pas to say that word. What do you think, Baish?
I don't think the context matters to a point of like when you're looking at it from who the person is. This is a great example right here. Is John Gruden, who was a coach for the Raiders, who was making derogatory remarks towards people of color, called the player union rep like a monkey, or had like Michelin lips.
Shit, even I know about this, and I don't watch. I don't watch.
And the crazy thing is like if you're looking at it from the outside, you're like, oh well, he probably had one moment of indiscretion. It's not that bad. Then when you talk to former players and other people, they were just like, I told you. If you look at old podcasts and old videos of other people, they call John Gruden a fucking racist asshole. But because John Gruden won one Super Bowl and because he kind of looked like the Chucky doll, that was his persona, and everyone was like, oh, he's great.
Even players of color inside his own dressing room still not want him sacked, even when all of this shit.
Yeah, they were just like, we don't want him back. We're good.
Syndrome.
Yeah, but some guys did just because they looked at it at the point of John Gruden's the one who signed them. Yeah, and brought them onto the team.
So I might have actually made them better players. Like he might have actually still been very good at.
But the problem is just because
that's a pattern of behavior in an aggressive fashion, and that's a different. Again, that is the context, isn't it?
But that's not Joe Rogan, unless you have like video of other comedians, other comics. You got people jump on the bandwagon now just because it's fun.
Yeah,
about everything. Aziz Ansari. He took a girl out to eat.
Oh man, I know this story well.
Went to hug her, and she didn't like the hug, and she said he sexually harassed her.
I think the story is that she went back to his house, and it's not, and he put the moves on, and because she didn't feel comfortable. Yeah, sorry, maybe it's a different story, but she didn't feel like comfortable saying no, so they had sex.
Yeah,
and then I heard his name, and his career hasn't recovered. I've heard his name mentioned inside of the Cosby Weinstein, and then you're like, dude, he just came out and said, I took her at her word, and I just think
if you apologize, you're fucked.
Because there's no such thing as a good apology. Nobody's looking for an apology. Nobody's ever come out and went, wow, what a great apology.
Yeah, once you apologize once, you'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's like Joe Rogan apologized, and I'm sitting there like, dude, fuck, why? Like, I get you said it, but the problem is with you apologizing is you're looking at it as a point of like, oh yeah, I apologize, so everything should be good now. And that's the way that they took it. He apologized, it was sincere, but people took it as, just like you guys said, or Noel said, you shouldn't be taking health advice from fucking Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Yeah. You shouldn't be.
You want to take
that should be your story.
Yeah, you want to take spinning back kick advice because this shit's nasty when he kicks somebody? Go fucking for it. UFC advice, go for it.
Who's the best UFC fighter ever? Go for it.
Yeah,
that's Joe Rogan. Absolutely.
But when you're talking about COVID or getting sick, don't fucking go to really. It's dumb. It's like me fucking breaking my leg and calling up The Rock and being like, "Hey, what should I do?"
Yeah,
like,
but that's a problem with society, and they're trying to put it on these people that we've raised to these dizzying fucking heights. Did you see when what's the name of one of the Kardashian sisters, the young one, whatever, she's a billionaire now, Kylie, and she was just under a billionaire, and people started donating money to get her over the billion mark.
Yeah,
like that's when I knew that these people aren't the problem, we are the problem.
Yeah,
we as a society, we have people starving in the world, and you have all of this spare money and this is what you want to do with it. That's when I realized that we are the fucking problem. And I think now nobody's woke enough, and I've never met anyone that hasn't that I know. Vinny, I've known Vinny 15 years. I've talked to you in a couple of podcasts. Both of you I know have made jokes that if I was brought to the cold light of day wouldn't look good. I've never met a person that hasn't. Yeah. And I hate the fact that everyone seems
I've always kept my shit PG.
Yeah.
I think you like racially slur me like 5 times a day, Baish.
I mean, yeah, I do.
If I'm being completely honest, I probably have at some point made an insensitive joke myself.
No, but this is my point. Like, it's like that other dumb shit when some black dude was just like, "Well, I'm black, I can't be racist." Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's more people jumping on the let's hate on Joe Rogan train just because it's the thing to do right now.
But it's a trend.
Well, yeah,
like some sort of dance.
It's annoying though, isn't it? Sorry, no, I was just gonna say it's kind of annoying because like at the same time, right, you have all these people jumping on his back because you know they're looking for their moment to shine. The Rock fucking backtrack like a motherfucker.
The N-word video came out.
Yeah,
he backtracked like
the Rock. The Rock should have never supported him yet.
Yeah,
that's why you wait. Man, you gotta wait. It's
this is what I said about The Rock, like in one of our previous episodes, that he's so manicured in his public perception that he immediately go, "Oh, my fans, they're going to want me to back Joe Rogan."
Yeah,
that's what my fans are going to want me to do. So I'm going to back Joe Rogan. And as soon as the video came out, he was like, "Oh shit, now I have to admonish."
Now I've become educated to his full narrative.
Yeah,
like, the words you're looking for.
Oh my god! Like if I was the size of The Rock, I'd be like, "Yeah." So what? You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, yeah, come for me. I've got my own production company. Let's see who's making movies in 5 years.
Well, no, I think it has to do with more also because The Rock has like kids. So I think when it goes down to it, he doesn't want people because you know how people are. Like the dude who there was an NFL player for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys took a shit and like lost in their first playoff game. And people weren't going after him; they were going after his family. Yeah. Like his family that are on Twitter and shit for like no fucking reason. So that's my point. I think for the Rock, I think it's easier for him to backtrack, which he should have fucking waited. He shouldn't have just jumped full in. But he is friends with Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
yeah.
He should support his friends.
What problem is.
You know,
that's what I like when people just kind of say like, yeah, it's probably not going to win me any fans or it's going to lose me fans or whatever. But here, no, I support him, and I know that shit looks bad. It's one thing I always defend about Bill Maher, and I've kind of gone off him as of late, but he always kind of like, he showed up and defended fucking Alex Jones. And Alex Jones had a few years previously accused him of being a child rapist, you know? And he was like, yeah, like, fuck this guy. Like, seriously, fuck this guy from the absolute depths of hell. But do I want him banned or taken off? And he goes, no, because I'm trying to be to the First Amendment what these people say they are to the Second Amendment. You know what I mean? Just let them have it and let it be a part of the discourse. And of course, I get the whole thing that Spotify get to choose whether or not they carry them. But I honestly think if they drop them, a new standard would be set. I just think it would just.
Do you think, does the sense, when you look at Spotify, do you think though, just to pick up on your point, do you think that it's a morality issue or a financial issue is the reason that?
It's only a financial issue. There is no morality. There is zero morality. Morality is coming from some people, don't get me wrong, but no. It's hard numbers, hard numbers.
You got to remember, he signed a $100 million 10-year contract.
4-year deal.
Yeah, 4 years. So if you pull him out of that, you're still paying him.
Yeah. But if every artist, like, like Neil Young, I'm actually a huge Neil Young fan. So I mean, if every artist pulls out, your company, your multi-billion-dollar company isn't worth shit. Here's the thing I would also say, sorry, just to play devil's advocate a bit, Neil Young did absolutely nothing wrong. If Neil Young said there was a dude here who's put all this disinformation, a lot of the shit that Joe said was definitely not backed up by peer-reviewed science. It just wasn't. And people treated it like it was. And he said, I think that's dangerous, so I want out. That's also fine. He's absolutely allowed to do that.
What isn't there though? Isn't there like a rumor? There has been captions that Neil Young's whole catalog of music, or a large portion of it, is owned by a guy that used to run Pfizer or some shit, by a company that is run by a guy that used to be the chairman of Pfizer. So
no idea, probably true.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't think Neil Young pulling out was more to do with, as I said, morality. More to do with him towing a political line because he was told by some higher up. See, this is the problem.
If his catalog is owned, then Neil Young is paid in full. You know, if your catalog is no longer owned, so like, I don't know. But
you know what? I don't sing those songs ever.
Fair enough. You know what? You're absolutely right. Fair enough. Although I do believe Neil Young to be. I've been following Neil Young's career for almost 30 years. I've been into him since I was a kid. I loved his music. A Horse with No Name, Rockin' in the Free World, all that.
Yeah.
But I don't think on the basis of it, I don't think he did anything wrong, because that is an opinion you are entitled to have. It's like shopping.
So is Joe Rogan though, isn't he entitled to have?
Exactly. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
I actually don't think that everyone says like, fuck this guy, how absolutely wrong and immoral he is. And then somebody said, fuck this guy and absolutely wrong. And I said, are they? I think Joe's wrong.
Yeah.
And I think me being wrong is fine. me being wrong is fine.
But didn't he take ivermectin and he was cured of COVID-19?
No, eventually he was cured of COVID-19. The ivermectin, like, I mean, he just didn't die of COVID-19. There's nothing to say ivermectin. Ivermectin has had some, it's sparse to say the fucking least. But he went in there as being this huge vaccine guy, and he said it was one of the biggest great breakthroughs we've had as a civilization is vaccines, and he moved away from that. And that's fine, he's entitled to his opinion. But when he started talking about the science following him, when it fucking wasn't.
The thing is, though, he's
just wrong.
I think
and he's allowed to be.
I think the problem most people have with the current vaccine, and don't get me wrong, I'm double vaccinated, but I think the problem most people have with the current vaccine is that it came out in 2 or 3 years. Most vaccines normally take about 9 or 10 years before they reach the general public. And because
this won't be, what's the words I'm looking for, but I don't think it's until next year that it's going to reach the whatever the standard
critical mass or whatever.
Yeah. I can't remember the exact words, but yeah, no, I get it. I get
like
it.
Herd immunity or something.
Had to be, yeah. No, but it's standard review, like when it reaches standard review.
Peer review.
Peer review, yeah.
But no, I just mean that, like, if you look at it, you can understand, you have to look at, like, every situation, you have to weigh it up from both sides. Like, I can't say to someone, because I have a certain opinion on vaccine science, that you should share the same opinion without looking at their concerns and why they don't share the same opinion. So if Joe Rogan, who looks at vaccine science, and like many people looked at and go, most vaccines take a long period of time before they reach the general public, and this one was turned around in 2 years, and that's like breaking down the genetic sequencing and all this shit of the virus, breaking down into a case where you can actually understand it in a situation where you can put a non-live source of that virus into a person's immune system so that they can build up immunity to it, and all that, figuring that out in 2 years. I can understand why people are like, no, I can understand, or you can understand people that have.
I felt that way. I was extremely nervous taking it. I admit that.
Or
a lot of anxiety.
Or people that had corona and it was just like they had very mild symptoms, and you can understand why they don't take it as seriously as someone that lost a loved one, and because it's all about perception. So I understand why all these different point of views are coming around, and I think even though Joe Rogan has 10 million on average listeners or whatever, he should be allowed to say, I took a treatment, it worked for me, and that's it. And that's all it is. Because that'd be like me saying to you, dude, do you know the other day I took paracetamol, cleared my headache right up. And you're like, oh, really? Paracetamol? You're like, yeah, cool. I might try that next time I have a headache. Because like Northin's not working for me, Sponsored.
It opens up a great question. But that would just be us two dickheads talking to each other.
Yeah, but
that's, and then you have to multiply. Yeah, no, I know. I think I actually agree. First off, I just blankly agree.
Yeah.
That no matter how far up in tiers you go, that is simply the case.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. But I do think that people at the top, I would advise, I suppose, if I had their ear, that they take more heed in their words. And I think, like when he was saying that myocarditis was more prevalent in 15-year-old boys who weren't vaxxed, when it was in fact more prevalent that people who got COVID and that were vaccinated, it was more prevalent than people who got COVID and weren't. And in both cases, it was completely minuscule, but there were cases around the globe, unfortunately. I do think he would take more heed with his words, and I do think he might have learned that from something.
But he's allowed to be wrong, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's allowed to be wrong. And frankly, it just that's it. He could literally just be better for all of this if he was just left to be. Because I don't think he's this like immoral fucking demon of a man who just wants to fucking like push an agenda. And like I said, if you went on Carlson and there was a guy who he went to the UN and he basically told them all to go fuck themselves. In this kind of great way, but Carlson wanted him on, and he told Carlson that he's also part of the problem. That never made it to air, because the little bitch boy can't take any criticism. Joe will take it. Joe had that guy on who argued with him about the vaccines, and Joe said he made me look like an idiot or something like that. That shit made it to air on Baish's point. That shit made it to air, and fucking and he took the lumps. And somebody like that should always be trying to improve themselves, but should always have the freedom to say whatever the fuck they want.
Baish,
canceled.
Baish, do you think, though, that trust in Joe Rogan is just a massive symptom of the lack of trust in mainstream media now? That he's the only one that gives fair conversation, and he does it in long form. Because like Noel says, he allows criticism in. He doesn't manicure the narrative in a way that suits him, in the same way that his detractors have been doing for the past fortnight, 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. Like, and do you think that the timing as well is coincidental? Like, I know I said a joke to you about Black History Month at the start of the episode, but do you think this is done on purpose now that it's released because you get the most tension or the most reaction from the color people of community and people of community, people of color and their community, you know? And it's so hard to say shit PC, man. It's so hard to say.
Rogan. No, I think it was. I think they
community.
Waited. I think they sat on it and they waited because you remember Joe said this shit about.
Oh yeah, they shot that shit on. Oh man, that's not
Joe,
up for debate for me.
Yeah, Joe had the COVID a while ago. Joe didn't just have COVID like last week or last month. You know what I mean?
Not even 4 months. 5 months.
So
like a while ago.
To sit there and wait and check it out. I'll tell you this. It's gonna be rare if Joe comes out of this unscathed. But I either think Joe's gonna get me too'd, hashtagged, and be done, and they're just gonna pay him out and be like, here you go. Or Joe's gonna change his whole format. Have you seen Aziz Ansari stand up now?
No.
Dude, it's fucking sad. Dude, he starts it out by apologizing.
Oh no.
Then he talks about stuff. Then it's somber. Then he apologizes again. Then does jokes that are like, are you fucking serious? Like a 10-year-old wrote his jokes now.
Man, like I'm not going to say that, but old school celebrities, they had NDAs, paid people, and then they said entertaining. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. That's my point. Like that's why everybody calls Dave Chappelle like the last comedian standing.
Yeah, because he's not afraid.
Because Dave doesn't give a shit. He's like, I'll cancel myself. I'll go back home. And
Jimmy Carr's in some shit now as well.
Yeah, but Jimmy Carr didn't really even fucking say anything that bad.
I watched most of his special. I don't remember the Holocaust joke. It was just kind of in there. And that's I get it that I wouldn't have the sensitivity. That
it's the whole point of comedy, though. It's the whole point of comedy is that you get a funny perspective on some of the darkest things. That you turn an eye onto society as a whole. Whether you speak about racial tension, poverty, the Holocaust, whatever, and you're supposed to be funny in that moment while still commenting on it as a subject matter. What, you're going to have a comedian up there and he's going just like, the Holocaust, and then he starts going into a diatribe about how it was bad for humanity. Of course it was bad for humanity. Everybody fucking understands that. 6 million people died, 6 million Jews, and about 11 million people died, I think, because of the Holocaust. Of course it was bad for humanity, but in a comedian, if he's bringing up that topic, he has to give his viewpoint in a comedic fashion, otherwise he's not a fucking comedian. So
Bill Hicks made a joke about blowing up brown people with weapons that wipe out everything except their gold fillings, and that helps pay for the war effort. We laughed, we moved on. It was awful. It's an awful thing when there's people
because that's him criticizing.
The joke was a joke, but there was also a thing, and I'm going to bring this up. I can't think of the name of the comedian, but Baish, you might appreciate this. Is that he brought out a confetti cannon, and he just said, "Here's the remote for the confetti cannon," and he just handed it to a random fucking dude in the audience, and he goes, "Whenever you think it's appropriate, because it's going to cause me a lot of anxiety waiting for it, and that might help me perform." He goes, just that awful pressure. And the first thing he said, instantly he said, "So me and my siblings have got back together. We haven't seen each other as much as we should have, but recently your mother passed. Confetti cannon." Yeah. Instantly mentioned his own dead mother. Confetti cannon. And your man just looked at him and goes, "That wasn't the right moment, mate." Everyone laughed, and it's a great joke. But a woman died. I get that that's not something to mock. I lost my fiance's mother, and it was one of the worst, awful thing that happened to me, but it wasn't. I didn't take offense to it as somebody who has suffered bereavement or some shit. I just left it alone. It just was, and now everything is like, oh no, you're making a statement about women, somebody's ethnicity, somebody's race, and then what the fuck is a joke? Like, even in that moment, like, you can tell that, like, me and you as two white dudes, we're terrified to talk about people about ethnicity at times. Like, you know what I mean? That's the truth. Like, because like, you're like, how can I say this in a way that I'm not going to get jumped on over? It's not the case, though. A lot of the time, it's definitely. Why is it so hard on us white guys? That's all I'm asking. To me, it's just like, it doesn't, like, people like the N-word. I'm like, N-word doesn't bother me to a point where I'm going to fight somebody over it. N-word doesn't bother me to a point where it's a word. Like, if I sit there and I think I'm that, then I would get upset. Some people don't even know where the fucking origin of the word comes from or what it is. And they just, I'm angry because I'm like, why are you angry? There's a lot worse words that, plantation owners used for black people than, the N-word. Like, people call you that shit all day long.
and you're just like, huh, it's funny. But someone says the N-word and you lose your fucking mind. It makes no sense to me. Two white guys should be able to have the same conversation that two black guys have about white guys.
That's
if
fair.
I said on this, if I said
I remember
a black dude and we started talking shit about white people, nobody would bat a fucking eye. Nobody would say anything. They would think it was funny. They think it's great. Now,
anytime somebody tries to build up the word cracker, like it's the new N-word, it just falls flat. It just does.
Nobody
just kind of go like, oh yeah, well how about here you go, cracker, and you go, oh yeah, that was sad.
Cracker or hillbilly.
I could say that on Sesame Street. Back the fuck up.
Exactly. That's my point. It's just, you know, I got into an argument. I got a fight with this fucking little dude, a small person, because he told me that saying the word midget was just like saying the N-word. And I was like, no, it's not. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's not. He's like, what? How do you know? I was like, because you're saying midget, but you're not saying the N-word. That's how I know it's not the same thing, dude. Like you know what I mean? Like,
oh man,
nice try,
dude.
Nice try,
game, set, match, B.
Tiny. I hate admitting this to you because we've had a bit of back and forth about which is the real football, us Europeans versus. And there was a dude on a show called Soccer AM. And he was just like, which one is the real one? And blah, blah, blah. And they were arguing. And he was going, yeah, but why is your show called Soccer AM? And it was an American dude. And he just said that. And I was like, fuck. That's like shit. Like, I didn't even think of it. I was like, shit, that is actually a slam dunk. Like, just like, we're done here. We're out.
I look at that. He got all huffy and puffy and shit. He was just like,
did he get like grumpy and shy? And...
I just like him like walking away was just like
and he's like all snoozy and
he was a little dopey. He was a little dopey after. He was a little dopey.
Oh, you're so cancelled before we ever started.
No, I just think it's easier for people to want to be woke.
Yeah.
You want to be that person where when you talk to your friend, well, I was one of those people that were against Joe Rogan, or I was one of those people that signed a petition, or I was one of those people. Go shut the fuck up.
Like, you know what? I always like when we did a podcast the other day. I think the two jokes I told that landed best were the jokes where I made fun of myself. Where just I meant, you know, like was just be the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
I do think there's just something
to make fun of you, Noel.
It is, and even I know that, which is why I lean into
you know, when Noel was making fun of my girl, he's like, "Oh, why is it like that?" And I told him he felt like shit.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It's so much better. It's so
I do think that what's endearing is when people stop taking themselves so seriously, and it's when everyone just seems on so fucking high alert. And when you like that, Joe Rogan is the diamond on top of the hill. He is like this guy who has this huge audience. So now we've like said that, will you be the ambassador of what like people, the way people should talk? And he's just kind of like, no, because he's even said like, what was his apology? He's gone, I don't know what these conversations are going to be when I start.
Yeah.
Same as this conversation.
What I don't like though.
None of us are reading off a script here.
No, what I don't like is the Spotify are gone, and I'm sure Joe Rogan gave him the go ahead and removed 70 episodes or something that had specific content or whatever like that. Like if he said the N-word or whatever. Look, and like in the minute they're banning books. The way I am as a person. All right. If you look through history of all mankind, and the only way you can actually have an understanding of our existence throughout time and throughout history is to have as much information as possible. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. Like, so if I want to have an understanding of Joe Rogan, I want to see all 1,100 episodes or whatever he's done, 1,200 episodes. I want to be able to see all that. I don't want things to be manicured or pruned for me in a way that it suit my sensitivities or someone's sensitivities in my era. If I'm looking back, right, and you can censor Joe Rogan, but I look back at Nazi rallies on YouTube any day of the week. I can look back at any kind of stuff from, you know what I mean? I can look at Klan rallies if I wanted to. All this kind of stuff's available. But Joe Rogan says the N-word. Why can't you just bleep that word? Why can't you just bleep it? Why do you have to?
Like Louis Theroux has gone and done extensive BBC documentaries with white supremacists, and the N-word and the K-word for Jews and stuff has been absolutely prevalent. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's actually a really, really fucking good point. It's not like I can't find racism.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, I typed in racism into Google,
and Joe Rogan's
nothing
not
came
the
up.
person you're going to look for to find racism.
And Joe Rogan's not the person I'm going to find.
Yeah, exactly.
But now Joe Rogan is the linchpin for racism. now Joe Rogan, the guy who's taken so many pictures and helped so many other comedians that were black or Hispanic.
I don't know, like.
He's now the most racist man in America.
Do you think Joe Rogan's kind of like Anakin Skywalker this moment? It's like, should he go to the dark side or the light side of the Force?
Just lean into it. Just lean into
I just hope if he goes full bad guy, it's handled better than Anakin becoming Darth Vader.
Yeah,
that shit was pathetic.
Because Joe Rogan's like minted now, so like imagine if he like leaves Spotify, goes to Rumble, because seemingly Rumble will put $100 million offer out to him, 25 million a year over 4 years. So like imagine he goes there, he goes full right wing and just goes pure evil. like he's like starts because he's gonna be worth he's worth more money now than any podcaster will ever be worth ever. Like ever.
Yeah.
Like ever. Like you know what I mean? No matter how
challenge accepted, challenge failed.
No matter how good any podcast. No way, man, but no matter how successful.
Like I'm a black dude, I'll take your seat. Like
man, I just think though, like if you look at a lot of people, a lot of this outrage is coming from people looking at Joe Rogan's contract and not his morals. They're looking at his $100 million and not the amount of times he said the N-word. They're using the N-word as a shield for the reason they can actually attack Spotify, and not because of Joe Rogan. They're attacking him because of the financial gain he made from his contract and the way they never will make from their music or from their art or whatever. And I can understand that because they're like artists are getting fucked on Spotify and they're getting fucked daily, and that's the truth. Like, you know, they're not getting enough per play or per download. They should be seeing more money from their art. That's true. Like especially smaller time artists and shit like that. But
I for one welcome our Spotify overlords.
But like when you look at Joe Rogan, he built that contract. He didn't just get that contract. He built it. Like that contract, he was earning serious money on YouTube every year through advertisements, through endorsements. Like if Joe Rogan, I don't care, right? Joe Rogan's an honest dude, I get it. But I say 90% of the shit he mentions on his podcast, he's seen a paycheck at the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and that's the truth. Like, and that's just the way this product placement is a thing. Like, you know, like if all of a sudden we got a fucking sponsor, I'd be like, oh yeah, drink Lucas Age. Yeah, it cures racial issues. I'd
be like, eat pure sugar cake. And then goes, diabetes pills.
I'm just saying, island snacks are the best snacks ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if you want a good snack, you got to go to Island Snacks. That's all you got to do. Right? That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying it for any reason.
Yeah, like there's no reason I would say Island Snacks. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. Like sometimes, right, I get really hungry late at night.
It's just the first snack that comes to mind because of how amazing.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
I want a snack. I want to be in the island kind of mentality, the island environment. I go to Island Snacks. Is what I do.
I like Pepsi over Coke, unless I don't.
Yeah, because no, we like Coke over here.
TBC.
TBC. Yeah, no, I would not drink Pepsi even for an endorsement.
Yeah, I know, same. Yeah, it's awful.
Same shit.
So like you see them coming out. No, it's not. How dare you? But you see them coming after Joe Rogan, right? Because of the context, or sorry, not because of the context, but because of the content of what he said. All right. And now the coins flipped. Something I touched on was about Joe Biden and the Young Turks and how they said derogatory terms, and they're saying that context is important there. But now we're looking into art and film, and they're talking about Quentin Tarantino's movies. Now the N-word was used infinitum in some of those movies, just firing it out. And like it's coming to a stage now where we're banning books again. We're talking about manicuring media content. We're talking about manicuring the biggest podcast in the world who offers up free thought and free speak to whoever comes on. He gives them 2 or 3 hours to say their piece, to break down their thing. But like, are we seeing, Baish, I'm going to throw it to you, like, are we seeing a case of the woke left or the woke agenda, whatever you want to call it? I don't know, like whatever people call it. Are we seeing a case now where it's
what they call it?
Yeah, are we seeing a case now where it's literally ran out of things to attack, and because the people that they hold in high regard, like the mainstream media or whatever, the voices that they hold in high regard are not getting the shine that they think, and all these people are getting the shine that, like Joe Rogan, that they feel like it is our job, it behooves us, whatever, to go out now and to start attacking all of these different components of the people that we believe should be getting the attention that they're actually getting.
I think got a bunch of people trying to sniff their own farts.
Snake eating its own tail is the analogy I like.
That's what it is. It's more or less just like we have done nothing in our lives. So what's the best way to do something else? Let's tear down someone else.
Impact someone that has done something.
Yeah, you see someone that has something that you don't have. Let's tear them down. So this woke culture, Louis C.K., Danny Masterson, Aziz Ansari, now Joe Rogan. You know, I don't put Bill Cosby in it because he was drugging bitches and doing.
That's what I mean. People mention names in lieu of names that they just should fucking not.
Yeah, or they call people Nazis and they have no understanding of what the atrocities the Nazis actually committed. Like, to call anyone nowadays a Nazi, even if Joe Rogan said the N-word 6,000 times, anything he did in his life would not equate him to be a Nazi.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, it just like the words people throw around now, they've no understanding of them. Like, that's the problem.
Just like anything that's wrong, it's like this is just like, oh, I've got the perfect metaphor. Look back through history, look back through humanity, look back through literature, look through my own Nazi Germany. Oh yes, yes.
It's a word that's gonna grab you. If I say Joe Rogan's not a great guy, if I say Joe Rogan said some things, but if I say Joe Rogan's a Nazi, that's what you're gonna pinpoint. That's you're gonna be like, huh? Why
it got punched? It's got punched. There's no doubt about that.
You're gonna go into it. Joe Rogan's a good dude. All the shit that's around him and most of the other people, and I say most of them, not all of them, because some people are dirt fucking bags.
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan being able, this is what they don't want. They don't want somebody to have somebody from the right, somebody from the left, and somebody from the middle talking and giving their points, because that just means someone's not right.
Yeah. Because someone has to, and that leaves people a decision to make for themselves.
Yeah, you have to make a decision for yourself.
Yeah,
it's but like Noel said, at a certain point, if something's wrong with you, go to a medical journal. Go to a doctor. Don't go to fucking Joe Rogan. That should have been the first thought process in your head. If Joe Rogan came out tomorrow and said eating your shit makes you feel better,
a lot of people would.
You like 30,000 people are going to eat their shit.
No, more than that. That's the terrifying thing. I think you guys are more guilty of it than ours. We still managed to keep her. But don't get me wrong, we're
the
Americans. Yeah, it's just we American people. Any American person, white, mostly white.
You said, no.
I got you, Noel. I got you.
You're on a roll this week. It's good. You. Oh man!
But like you, most of your news is delivered by talking heads. Our news is still very boring, which I'm quite grateful for. Don't get me wrong, we sensationalists all over the place, but mainly we get our news from somebody who has just never told a joke in their entire life, and they just read it. And that's the news.
Look, I'm going to throw you one last question, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here because we've got other things to do tonight. All right. I want to ask you, right? Is this, I'm going to throw it to you first, Noel, and then Baish to you because you're a guest, and then we give you the last word. I just want to throw it to you. It's like, do you think this attack, all right, on Joe Rogan, because you have to call it attack because it's come from all quarters.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Do you think this attack, and I touched upon it throughout the episode, is solely based in morality, like they're saying, or is this just an attack fostered or fueled by mainstream media because they want his audience and they're jealous and they want his money and they think if they can go after Joe Rogan's character that they can take his audience, his listenership, and his whole career away from him? And there's nothing to do with morality in this. That's all financial gain. No.
Oh, I think when it comes to a juicy story, I don't know if there's an awful lot of thought put into it. And if they could like steamroll them, and if your audience, you defending them, is what's going to bring in millions and millions of viewers when somebody's as hot a topic as Joe Rogan, I don't think ending him or standing up for him has any morality involved. I don't think there's anybody who's like, fair play to them because they're sticking up for him, or fuck these guys, or no, it's just they're just playing because he's a huge name. So I mean, I don't care that Rihanna's pregnant, but I've read, and I'm a murder mystery guy, and I know
weird
all
segue.
about it.
Weird segue.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But
weird segue. Rihanna's pregnant. Murder mystery.
But how do I know so much about it? I know so much about it. I can't divide it. All they care about is the narrative that can get eyes. So no, I don't think it's necessary to steamroll him or defend him. I think he just simply is that big. But I think it comes from people. And this is what Twitter has done, for good or for worse, is that it's given the people power, which I have to say is probably a good thing. But then people have probably got too easily locked up in trends that are driven by a small number of people, or a smaller number of people, certainly. Like Baish was saying, there's like 3 dudes who put the compilation together.
Yeah.
And then, no, I honest to God think it's just a snake eating its own tail. I don't even think there's as much thought put into it as people seem to think. Oh, this is just the establishment trying to take down. No, I don't think there's that much thought.
Coordinated, dude. This is
it's coordinated to a fucking. Oh no, but they see blood in the water. Don't get me wrong, and then it gets extremely coordinated.
Yeah, but Joe Rogan was fucking.
But like Joe Rogan was untouchable before COVID came along, and then he said something like that.
No, they went after him for trans as well, for comments he made about trans.
Yeah, but so fucking what?
You know what I mean?
But like, what did that come to? Like, I mean, like, oh shit.
But this shows that it's persistent attacks.
Yeah, but then the N-word video been released and stuff like that, going back to all these comedy fucking specials. It's a fucking whole other animal.
Well, it's a continuous thing. They've gone after him now for the past 12 months on.
I feel like the media kind of has a lot of their work done for them.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, fuck the woke left, and here's everything that they've released. And then it's like, oh, we love them, and here's everything that they've released. And they both just kind of like, you know, like a pig and fucking swill, and they just fucking take from the same trough. I don't think they're doing an awful lot of work themselves.
Yeah, but I just think, though, they're following a narrative. The difference is Joe Rogan is not following narrative. He's just being Joe Rogan and recording it.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
To that point.
That's the whole. That's the difference. So, but Baish, what do you think? Do you think there's anything about morality behind this attack on Joe Rogan, or do you think it is purely financial gain?
I think it's nothing about morality, because you can't find someone that says a bad word about Joe Rogan. They've tried. I've seen the thing where they've tried to talk to a bunch of people that Joe's either fired or been around, and they said, no, Joe fired me. He gave me a severance package and made sure that I found another job.
Yeah, he seems like a fair dude.
Want to talk to that person. You know what I mean? It's just more of a person. I just think Joe is the easiest target right now because of the stuff they found. He's the biggest target. He's the easiest target. And you lean into it and you get it. And if you can take 20,000, 30,000 people away from him, all the people that said that they would pull their shit, I'm sorry, Noel. I don't give a fuck about the dude that you talked about with
Neil Young.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's making way more money.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like, you put Joe Rogan up against that guy, Joe Rogan wins every day, twice on.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think anyone's necessarily like the full-on joker of the situation. You know, like trying to. That's my point. I didn't think there was a demon involved in it. I just thought it was a narrative.
Well, if they follow an agenda, someone creates the agenda for them to follow. That's the thing.
Fair enough.
Someone created the agenda. It was there. They went with it. They tried to attack Joe with it. They didn't think they'd get the other comedians that were black to back Joe. Remember, people have said history.
They're called blamedians.
Yeah. No, but you get crazy because even Dave said, like, hey, if you guys cancel Joe, just take everything I've ever done that you guys have up there and take it off. Brendan Schaub said, you know, for the fighter and the kid, take it off of Spotify.
Did you hear the comments? Everyone was like, yeah, Brendan, please take your stuff off Spotify.
No, but like Brendan got a following, but he started out slow, just like Joe did. Yeah. You gotta understand, there's any blowback either way. But if I'm Spotify, Joe Rogan has a lot more friends than these dudes.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said but 3 times, and I just had to do that. That was an OCD thing.
Jesus, no.
It was an OCD thing, and it just, you know, it happened, and we all just need to move on.
Why are you constantly personally attacking him?
I do, like I was telling you guys earlier, I the thing that irritates the shit out of me is I hate when people are just like, white people or, you know, white supremacists aren't allowed free speech, but then someone that's black or someone that's Hispanic can keep saying brown pride or black pride, march around, do this, do that, and people are like, oh, that's awesome. But if a white guy comes up and says, white pride, I'm proud of my race, you're racist, you're horrible, you're this and that. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, like white people, we didn't invent racism, but like most things, we're just the best at
it. I'm not gonna lie.
And that's why most sports are based in the war.
I'm not gonna lie. It's he's right. He's not wrong.
But no, like I totally agree with you. It's like you have to allow everyone to say their piece, because the only way to disprove a bad argument is to come up with a better one against it. And like, because if you allow people to just talk unopposed, or if you just squash them, because people are going to build up their argument in their head. You know what I mean? Like, or because like you need to pretty much, if back in the day, if someone was a white supremacist or someone was right-leaning or conservative, whatever, they would always have debates against these people. They'll have the meeting of the mind, someone that was on the opposing side, they would talk them down in front of a crowd and then have an open forum for discussion. And that's why, like, people have gone away from the news, because it's not an open forum for discussion, it's just people shouting you down, shouting each other down, trying to get their viewpoint across, or trying to get their soundbite across. And that's the there's a jelly on your microphone, this fucking guy. But but that's the problem, I think, with, like,
eat it off the microphone. I no longer care about you.
And I think that's the problem.
There
it's
it
just
is.
like that people fear nowadays an open forum for discussion. I mean, there's an open forum for discussion, they believe that their viewpoint is being attacked, and all they do is go on the attack instead of actually opening their mind up to a different viewpoint. You know, that's what I
can't think of the name of the woman, but she was put to death in the 30s in the gas chamber. She had a really, really haunting last words, and she said, "Good people are always so sure they're right." And I always thought that, I thought that made no sense at the time. But the fact of the matter is, if you know, like, you are, like, definitely not somebody who steals or robs or holds hate in your heart for somebody based on their, like, but you think that all of these things must summate in you being right, just being right. Like, you've covered all of the bases, and there's no such thing, I think, as all the bases been covered. And I think people really, really should put all of the fucking shit they've set out, like, in their mind. Just say all of the jokes they've made, all of the insensitive shits, how I was in high school, how I treated other people, whatever the fuck, and go, yeah, you know what?
Dick in high school.
I think people would calm the fuck down.
Right, before we go, Noel, do you think Joe Rogan's going to get cancelled? Yes or no?
No.
Baish?
Yeah.
No, I think he's okay. Because I think there's other people that are going to sign him up if he leaves Spotify.
So that's 2 1/3 votes for not getting cancelled, and that's 2/3 of a vote for getting cancelled. Oh my god! I just cancelled myself.
Hey,
it didn't work in this
You did it on a good joke, though.
Thank you. See, keep that in the recording.
We've been here for like nearly like over 50 minutes, and I'll post it. It'll be like 18 minutes long. But cool, boys, let's get the fuck out of here. All right, this is Talking Pints. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel Tui.
That's Baish Benford, and we'll see you next time, folks. Peace.